Alright guys, happy spring! It is springtime here in Michigan. So we are going to start cooking the maple sap down into syrup. And this is how we're going to do it. I know a lot of you guys were concerned about the tank, and we might be moving it. No, this is how we're going to move the sap. This is a 275 gallon IBC tote. I think this one might have had some sort of sugar syrup stuff in it. Or what we're going to do is we have this little gas powered pump. I picked up this one at Harbor Freight. And this is called a Predator 1-inch gasoline powered water pump. 79 cc. And we're using this just to transfer from the big tank to the little tank. And it goes super fast. So right here, this was how we were going to pump out. This has a tube that runs all the way down to the bottom, and it's got a filter on it. But because it sits at the bottom of the tank, it's frozen into the block of ice down there. So rather than risk busting up the pump trying to suck through it, we're just gonna suck through the top for the meantime. Now you guys are getting a little bit late to the game. I didn't videotape our first round doing this, so technically this is the second round, and I'm just gonna mush it up in my footage with the first cook. So a little photo magic here. Yeah, a little video magic.
Oh, I forgot to look how much is in there.
You forgot to look and see how much is in there?
Oh wow. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, Eric's really digging these quick connects.
Is on. Latch it down.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Latch it down.
I like a crock top lid.
It's all ready. Now we just gotta prime it. Get this in the tank.
Alright, so to prime this, you need either water or, in this case, we're going to use sap. We have leftover sap from our last cook that we're going to use to prime it. Last time we did this, we had to use water because we didn't have any sap. If you guys are looking to do this yourself and use a pump to transfer, I would highly recommend having a tree in your vicinity with a bucket on it. That way you can just grab the bucket, pour it in with a funnel, and that should work. We have lots. These are all maple trees out here. All of them. Silver maple and some red. Now you're probably wondering why those aren't tapped. Simple reason is we have a lot of maples, but it's a matter of time and figuring out the system. Okay guys, open your mouth. Catch them. Catch them in your mouth. Starts right up, man. That's really good. It's rolling. Alright, so in less than 10 minutes we managed to fill the whole thing. 275 gallons to the top. Alright, now we're going to drive it back and put it in the sugar shack. And it'll be ready for our cook. Today we're gonna let her rip. And if you're a guy, some of you guys actually do that approximately every hour. But we're not gonna do that. Today is the first day of maple syrup cooking. Here is our current setup. We have our 275 IBC plastic tote up there. Oh hey Teddy Tat, you come in to see what's going on? So this is the current setup that we have going right now. Doesn't it look pretty? It's not designed to look pretty, it's just designed to be functional, but you know, Eric did a pretty good job on the steam hood here. My idea, like, I just wanted to keep it simple. I was going to make just a real simple 1x2 rectangle out of the 1x2s and stick fans in the bottom part of it and then suck up the seam and out the sidewall. Eric decided to make it more elaborate, and this is what he came up with. And that's fine. So the steam is naturally going to want to rise anyhow, and then we have fans that we can turn on to suck the steam out. And yes, those are weatherproof fans designed to be used during rainstorms. So they should, in theory, be fine for maple sap. And then, because we have our stack right here, Eric decided to stick this extra piece of barn sheet metal next to it so that it doesn't melt, although it still possibly could. Other added features is I stapled plastic along the entire perimeter. Got a new tarp on the back wall, plastic there. This whole thing had to be retarped because it was blown out. I don't know if I'm even gonna get that video edited, probably not. Yeah, so and then this is new. This adds extra light because at nighttime when we're cooking at like 9 o'clock at night, it's very dark in here. And this is empty. Other addition is we shortened our blower unit. Well, that's interesting. I just had mud fall on me from above. Okay, so this blower unit was actually sucking air from outside, and what would happen is when the wind would blow, it would blow the tarp over top of the fan unit, which would dampen it. The other problem was this was sucking cold air in. So it sucks the air in, and this is it's a furnace blower. We've got the tube running all the way into here, and then it has a cutout, and it shoots the air underneath the fire. Now, because it was so cold and rainy the day we were putting this up, I could not pull my camera out to show you a good video of what it looks like. But I did take a couple pictures, so here they are. So you can see on the inside, it's lined with fire brick. And then down at the bottom portion, that's where the air shoots in underneath the fire. The grates right there hold the wood. And then the cavity below collects the ashes. And then it blows the fire and the smoke and the heat back and then out the back end. Yeah, the opening to this is very tiny. It should be larger, but that's all we could find. My cat is having a freak out attack. What's your problem? Oh my gosh. You are a psychopath. What's the matter? You mad I'm not cooking yet? Tut-tut? Oh, don't give me that. You know how to get down ladders. You are crazy. You've got spring fever, don't you? Yes. Oh, he wants to get up. He wants to get on the roof. That's what he's meowing about. What's he doing? This cat does not know what to do with himself. He's a ladder cat. He can totally get down. Actually, I'm gonna move this because I know he's gonna climb it again. We will do it like this. So this is already open. Hopefully it's not frozen, but it probably is. We're going to open this and hope this isn't frozen. But it probably is too. You can see a little bit of liquid coming out right there. See, just a little bit of liquid because this whole thing is probably frozen solid into a brick up in here. So we have a heat gun, then we can heat this up, and that's usually what we do. That's why this part and this part are both metal. We take the heat gun, we blast some heat at that, thaw it out, and bang boom. Now believe it or not, we've never had an issue with the plastic melting doing this. So I know you're kind of concerned that this might be melting the plastic. Yeah, we had to take a little more drastic measures because that heat gun just was not making it very warm. So that definitely feels a lot toastier now. There it is. Yeah. So that will slowly increase as that water sap begins to thaw. See, it's traveling down here. And then I'll show you what it's doing over here. So here's our float box. It's coming in. This is gonna let it fill until it reaches the desired height in the evaporator. Once it reaches the right height, it'll slow the flow down. So as the fire cooks down more maple sap and demands more sap added to it, this will add it in automatically. Okay, so you can see it's already starting to flood in, and it's going to start filling all of the flues one by one. In the meantime, while this is going to be filling, it'll probably take it a little while to fill. So we'll go ahead and finish stacking the wood. Once we finish stacking the wood, this thing should be full. When it's full, then we can start the fire. Just like you never want to put a bare pan on your stove, you don't ever want this thing to be empty on the fire. This fire cooks really hot, like 800 degrees hot or hotter. So that will ruin your pans super fast if there's no liquid in there. It will pulverize and disintegrate everything. And yes, it eats the wood at approximately 7 minutes. It takes 7 minutes to consume the wood. And this is the type of wood that we're putting in here. This actually might take closer to 5 because these pieces are a little bit smaller than we typically put in there. We are really working hard. This is the size that you want. The smaller the piece of wood, the more surface area you have really on it, and the hotter your fire is going to be. Yes, it is a lot more work, but it produces a hotter fire, which hopefully will give you a faster cook time. Gallons per hour, that's how these things are calculated. Gallons per hour is the number of gallons that you can cook off your maple sap within 1 hour. Typically, our system can do about 20. So really, a gallon, a big container like this, when it's completely full up to the top, will take about 12 hours to cook. 10 to 12, give or take, depending on the wood. If the wood's wet, it takes longer. Sometimes if you have a front blowing through, that takes longer. But 10 to 12 hours roughly. So about 20 gallons per hour. With the steam hood we have set up here, it's actually going to suck the steam out. What we were having an issue with before was the steam would travel upward, and then the cold air up there would hit it and send it back down. So you've got hot steam rising that cools really rapidly and then falls back down cold. So that's actually creating kind of like a tunnel effect to make things cold in your sap pan. And of course this. Hopefully by having it closer to this thing right here, it gets really hot. So hopefully by having it closer to that, it's going to be sucking warm air in and shooting warm air onto the fire instead of cold air, which again will hopefully give us a little bit better cook time. I'd rather sit out here for 6 hours than 12. But one thing I do want to do before we heat this puppy up is test the sugar content. Now we have a special hydrometer that tests sugar. There's many different types of hydrometers that test many different things. If you make beer or wine, you know this. So this is one specifically to test the gravity of the maple sap. So the more concentrated the sugar, obviously the higher it will float. So maple sap can have a sugar range of anywhere from 1% up to 5% off the tree. Alright, so this is our special sap hydrometer, just for sap. And here's our testing cup. This is one that Eric built for it. It's not perfect. Should have been just a hair bit longer. But anyway, I'm going to try and do this over top because it does make a mess. Actually, I'll just do it right here. I'm just going to kind of stick it in. And it's okay if we lose this little bit of sap. So I'm going to guess it's at about 1.5 to 2%. Really close to 3. It's like 2.5 to 3. It could partly be, in fact, due to the sap being frozen, because there is still a giant frozen chunk in the tank back there. So 3% sugar, that's really good. Normally we're at like 1.5 to start the season. Alright, let's get busy stacking some wood. so we have this thing filled. Okay, we're gonna light it with our handy dandy little torch here. All right, here we go. Shove it on in and start lighting everything on fire. And here we go. Now we're going to close this. So pretty much what happens is that roughly sitting in this tank is about 4 to 6 gallons of maple syrup. You cook it all down, you get them, but not today. We will be getting this maple syrup the next time we cook because it will stay in the pan. Because this pan has to hold 15 gallons to stay at a reasonable height. And we need 6 gallons. Obviously, we're not going to be pulling all 6 gallons out because you need 15 in here. So those 6 gallons of maple syrup are going to be mixed in 9 gallons of sap. And then the next time we cook, the new sap will push all of that stuff out. And it will come out through here. So what we're doing today is called sweetening the pan, which is basically establishing your ingredients. And it's condensing down the sugar in your sap. This is a continuous flow pan. That means that you're continually adding to it. You're not cooking down one whole batch and then processing it. All right, so our temperature is up to 69.6, and we've got a good fire going. We have the fan blowing on high back there. We also have our fans up there running, and you can see the steam that's starting to come off already. And it's still cold outside. It's about 35 degrees out, so it's gonna steam just because it's warmer than the outside temperature. But you can see it's not boiling by any means. So once it starts like actually boiling, you're not gonna be able to see much of anything in the pan. Alright, so we had our first minor catastrophe. One thing that I forgot is that you have to have your defoaming liquid on hand, and I did not because we just bought a new bottle this year. So as you can see, it foamed all the way up the sides. So you gotta try and spatter the stuff down. Ouch. Because it will kind of burn onto the side of your evaporator. Ugh. So what happens is because of all the minerals and stuff in the maple sap, they tend to foam up. Kind of like if you've ever watched a river have like chunks of what they call sea foam floating down the river. This does the same thing. Right now we don't have the blower on, so I'm going to turn it on in just a second, but I want you to see what it looks like. Ooh, okay, never mind, fogging up. Alright, real quick, see? Now we're going to turn this on quick, on low, and here we go. Stand back. That steam hood is just sucking it right up and out. That thing is doing great. Yeah. So, you can already see it starting to drip. So look at that steam just like billow up. Look at that. Working like a charm. That's pretty sweet. So, there you have it. This is the startup of maple syrup. Alright, so real quick, I'm going to show you what it looks like shutting down. So, I've turned off my blower. The temperature's slowly coming down. I've cracked the door. I'll crack it open more when I leave. It's still draining in, which you want because it is still steaming. I did go through and plug it up. So there's a plug there. And a plug over there. Oops, still steaming. But what I really wanted to show you was the difference in color. And this is what we need to maintain. And now you'll understand why I plug it. Alright, so this is our primary syrup pan right here. Alright, this is the one where it exits. This is the other syrup pan. See how there's a slight color difference? So here are the back flues, as much as I can show you without it steaming it up. So this one is going to be darker than that one because that one's where it comes in. And you can see just a very gradual change. And then right here you can kind of see a little bit better. See how this one's a lot darker than this one? and that was just a little bit lighter. Unfortunately, these two guys are going to kind of blend into one color because I don't have a triangular plug to fit back there. Anyhow, I was scooping syrup out of here to put into here after I plugged everything, so that this one's about 2 inches high, and then this one is 2 inches high because I scoop out of this one going into there. They will continue to cook. Everything will keep cooking, especially these two right here, because the fire is off and it's right below these two pans. So you want to make sure that they do not overcook because they're not getting any added liquid to them. These guys are getting added liquid from our pipe back there. And you can see that the tank is getting lower. Enjoy! Now you guys are getting a little bit late to the game. I didn't videotape our first round doing this, so technically this is the second round, and I'm just gonna mush it up in my footage with the first cook. So, little photo magic here.
Yeah,
little video magic.